All right, class. So yeah, here is the app when you first load it. And what I wanted to do right off the bat is just go through the structure of the XAML files and the storage connection string that you need to set in the constants. And then we'll get into the code which actually does the uploading and downloading and enumeration in a bit. So first thing you'll have to do is change the storage connection. And the storage connection is stored on the Azure portal. If you've got your storage account, right, you search for access keys, and then your connection strings are specified here. And there's a second key they give you here, right? So these are the connection keys you can use, or connection strings, sorry, to actually make the connection to your blob storage. So once you've got that set, let's take a look at how the app actually sets up and starts. So this one's a little bit different because when we look into the app.xaml.cs file, we see that the main page is a new XAML. And remember, XAML is just because we've got a XAML folder here that we've got our files in. So XAML.file uploader page. And the file uploader page here, notice that there's no navigation stack that we're using here. And that's because instead of using navigation stacks and popping them off and on the navigation stack, we're using a tabbed page here. So we're only ever going to load this one main page, and then it's going to serve as an interface to tab between these three different pages. So we've got XAML pages, image file uploader page, text file uploader page, and text file browser page. So these all kind of give us a look into how we can interact with the blob storage using images and text, and how to enumerate files that are in a container up on blob storage. Okay, great. So that's the initial structure. So let's take a look at the first one that pops up initially when you first run the app, which is image file uploader page. That's the first one, right? So if we look at the XAML file, we notice that there's a title and there's an icon image source, and those are the two things that are going to be shown in the tab down at the bottom of the screen when you first open up the app. And this XAML.png, you might not know at the beginning, like there is no XAML.png here. Where does it come from? It's actually dependent on device here. So it's buried in these resources folders, and there's one here, and you'll notice that here it's an Android resource. And if you go to the iOS, it's just in the resources, and here it's a bundle resource. But in any case, if you want to specify device-specific images, that's where you would go to put them. In a lot of cases, you would actually put in multiple resolutions, depending on how many devices that you want to support. But that's not something we'll get into right now. Just know that adding images can sometimes be a lot more complicated than just adding an image, like we've done with the world here. This world image, we've actually created as an embedded resource. If we want to reference it in our CS files, that's what we have to do, and then we give it a resource ID, and this is the string that we'll use to reference it in our CS file later. Anyway, so that's a little bit of an aside on images, but in any case, we have this tabbed structure, right? So we give it some information for the tab. And then we notice that we have a label, an image placeholder without a source specified, because the source gets specified in the CS behind file. Then we've got a button, which is linked to an on upload image button clicked function. We'll take a look at that function and how it actually works in a bit. And then we have an activity indicator, which is one of the spinning wheels that let you know that the app is doing something. So we can set that to on or off, to be running or not running, and it'll hide itself if it's not running. And then we've got another button to download the image that we just uploaded. And then another placeholder for an image, which will eventually have its source be set once we've finished downloading that image. All right, so let's take a look really briefly at the CS file. And let's go up. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is that we've got a couple of variables here. So we've got a file name where we store the file name once we've uploaded it so that we can access it when we download it. And then we've got a byte array. And this is how blob storage usually you interact with blob storage, is with the byte array, because it's blob stands for binary objects. So we're converting things to byte array. And that's the first thing we do when we have the constructor for this particular page. So this page gets built, and the first thing it does is initialize its components, and then it grabs that file uploader world JPEG, which we've got here, right? And we convert it to a byte array, and we stuff it into the byte data, which is an array of bytes, right? And this convert here is actually something that we've created ourselves, and you don't have to necessarily memorize this code, or just understand that what it's doing is taking this image information and then converting it to a byte array. All right, so let's go back. So we've got a byte array now, and then what we do is we actually set the source of the image to upload, which was in the XAML, right? In the XAML, we have the image to upload. So we're setting that source here. And then we're using an image source.from stream, and we're using that byte array. So this is one way that you can convert from a byte array into something that the source tag can understand. And then that's how it actually populates the image. So that's when the image will pop up. So that's all at the very beginning. Now, if they click this on upload image button clicked, we notice that there is the activity indicator, which we set to be running. And then here is where we actually do the uploading of the file to blob storage, right? Now, it looks like a one-line deal, but really what we're doing is we're calling our own Azure Storage class, which I'm going to get into in a moment in another video, because this video is already getting long. But what we do is we use that class, we pass it the type of container that we've got, so container type.image. If we look into container type, these are just enumerated objects, right? So container type image will be the first object, and then we go back to here. So that's what we pass it, and then we convert the byte array to a stream object, a new memory stream, and that's what Azure Storage is expecting. We'll go into that in a moment to see how that works. But anyways, after this is completed, then what we do is we disable the upload button because we've already uploaded the image. We enable the download button so that we can try downloading the image now from blob storage, and then we set the activity indicator to stop running because we've completed our action. So that is the very beginnings of how to upload the image. Let's dig into the Azure storage file in the next video.